beginner OLL for the 3x3 Rubik's Cube is the next step in CFOB. So basically what beginner OLL is pairing up all the yellow pieces to be on the top, but the sides aren't all solved, and that is why we call this orient the last layer, and why PLL is called permute the last layer. So there's basically 10 different possible cases that you can have in beginner OLL, because in actual OLL there are a lot more. So the first step in beginner OLL is to make the yellow cross, just like in the beginner method for 3x3. So basically there are 3 possible cases in which you can get to make the yellow cross first. So in this case I have the line, and as you know, you can also have the dot and just the L. So for the line, we can just do this super simple algorithm. So we have this facing to the right and left, and we can go F, R, U, R prime, U prime, and F prime, and that will give us the yellow cross. The next case that you have, or you could have to make the yellow cross, is this. So we have this weird L shape right here. So the easy way to do this is to do a double F move instead of just a single F move. So we do double F and then go R, U, R prime, U prime, and then do a double F prime. And there we go, then we got the yellow cross right here. And then the last case here to make the yellow cross is just the dot. So for this, we're going to do basically a mix of the first and second case. So you can do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, and that's going to give us this, and then we can do double F, R, U, R prime, U prime, and that will give us the yellow cross. So after that step, there are only 7 possible cases for the next step in OLL. So this is the first one where you have just the yellow cross facing on top, and you have 2 of the corner pieces have yellow that are facing away from you and 2 that are facing towards you. So you want to hold it like how I have here. So I have 2 that are facing towards me and 2 that are facing away from me. I don't want to hold it like this because then this algorithm might get messed up. So you want to hold it like this, and the algorithm for this is basically the same as what we just did to solve the yellow cross. So basically it's this. So it's F, R, U, R prime, U prime, and you basically repeat that 3 times. So you go R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, and then you can go up, and that's going to orient the entire last layer. So the next case that I have here is similar to the last one. It's when we still have just the yellow cross on top, and we have these 2 corners have the yellow side of them facing the same direction, and 2 have it the 2 yellow sides facing opposite of each other. So you want to hold it, unlike the other one, you want to hold it like this, to where I have the 2 that are parallel to each other on the right. And the algorithm for this is R, U2, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, R2, U2, R. And that will finish that OLL. Okay, so this next OLL that I have is when we have the yellow cross on top and 1 corner that has yellow also facing on top with the cross. So right here, I have this one on the right. So you're gonna wanna look for a yellow piece that faces towards you with this. So basically what I mean is, like, if I have it on this side, then that means I'm probably gonna have one over here. And if I have it on this side, I might have one over here. It really depends. So in this case, I have this yellow facing towards me, and the one that's solved up on the right. And sometimes you'll have it where it's like this, and the yellow will be on this side, just like that. So for this case, it's super easy, and it's probably one of the easiest OLLs to learn. It's probably not the longest either. So here we go. So this is super easy. So it's just L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L, U2, L prime. And that will give us that OLL. Okay, so the next OLL case is almost exactly the same, except when I have the corner that faces up with the yellow cross, and I don't have the yellow corner that faces towards me on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and rotate it, and I have it on the right side instead of the left over here. So this algorithm is basically the exact opposite as the other one, and that would be this. So it's just R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime, and that will finish that OLL. Okay, so this next OLL that I have is when we have two corners that are oriented and two that need to be oriented. And so this case, I'm going to want to hold it so I have one corner that's oriented in the bottom left and one corner that's oriented in the top right. And then we should have one corner that's not oriented with the yellow side facing towards us. So this algorithm is going to be F, and then we're going to do a double R, U, R prime, U prime. And then we're going to go back down, double R, and then we're going to do F, and R, and that's going to give us that OLL. Okay, so this next OLL that we have here, this OLL case, is when we have also two corners that are oriented and two that aren't. So I noticed that right here, instead of the last one, we have the two corners that are oriented kind of make a block on the right side, and then we have two corners that need to be oriented that are parallel to each other on the left side. So you want to hold it like how I have. So I have the block on the right and the parallel unoriented corners on the left. And so this algorithm is very similar to the one that we just did, except there's a few little different tweaks. So the way you want to start this is with a double R. Then we're going to go U, R prime, U prime, R. And then we're going to go F, R, F prime right here, and that will solve that OLL. Okay, so we are finally at the last OLL, and I saved this one for last because this one's unlike all the others and might be a little bit more difficult to completely do. So basically right here I also have the block that it makes, but instead of these corners that need to be oriented being parallel to each other, they are facing the same direction. So this algorithm is a little bit longer, but it is also pretty easy. Okay, so the algorithm for this is going to be R2, D, R, U2, R, D prime, R, U2, R. And that will finally solve the last OLL case. So those are all the beginner OLL cases and how to solve them. And then the next step would be to move on and go into PLL, which would be basically like this. And that will solve and permute all of the entire cube, leaving it completely finished.